That broadcast school has really paid off.
CBS presents this program in color.
Hold it. I think you're going to like this picture.
Come on, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go.
Ready? Go.
Thank God I've never been in a locker room. Never been in a press box. They won't talk to me. Well, he's never been in a press box. I talk with the jocks in the locker room door. Yes, it's my fans talking to fans. You and me. And then Murphy's on. Milton won't talk, but we will. How you doing, everybody? Murph with you this hour. The Score brought to you by Menards. All right. Lots to do between now and 2, including 1 hour away from Tool of the Week. Start getting your sports tool nominations in mind for 1 hour from now. All right. This is a radio talk show host's dilemma. Obviously, I'm going to have to talk about the Bulls and the Blackhawks, which I was prepared to do. In fact, here, text me right now. Let's get rolling with our U.S. Cellular sponsored and powered text system. Yes or no? Should Vinny Del Negro start the same 5 guys in Game 4 Sunday that he has started in the first 3 games? Yes or no? Should Vinny Del Negro start Rose Gordon, Salmons, Tyrus Thomas, and Joe Noah? Yes or no at 67011. That's our Bulls talk for the next few minutes. Blackhawks talk, we'll get to that in a little while also. I want to visit with you, and I want to ask you a question. I want to ask, and you don't have to be a Cub fan or a Sox fan or a Cardinals fan or a Brewers fan. You don't even have to be a stinking baseball fan. But I want to ask you, if a player boycotts the media, whatever that means, that's the word I keep hearing. If a player boycotts the media, are you mad at him? Do you care if a Chicago player talks to the press? I want to review what's happened here. And it all began on, and we're talking Milton Bradley, it all began on April 15th, the 62nd anniversary of Jackie Robinson's breaking into the bigs in, 1947, right? That's when the Sun-Times, and I don't know if you purchase papers anymore, if you care about newspapers, but some people do. And they all end up on the table, I would imagine, at the guy's house or at the ballpark. The column written, and I ignored it on April 15th because I couldn't believe they bothered or they thought it was important. On the day that every player wore number 42, their story was in the Sun-Times on the front page written by their beat reporter, one Gordon Wittenmeyer. It was unfriendly confines. Milton Bradley aware of Wrigley Field reputation for racial taunts. Wittenmeyer wrote, Wittenmeyer says, Wrigley, this is from April 15th. Gordon Wittenmeyer in the Sun-Times. This is what it's all about, by the way. See, this is why Milton doesn't want to talk to Gordon Wittenmeyer. Wittenmeyer wrote on April 15th, I have it right here, Wrigley Field seems like the last place an African-American player with such a well-traveled reputation for confrontations would choose to sign a multi-year contract. Gordon Wittenmeyer writes, crowds at Wrigley Field and Boston's Fenway Park are considered among the worst by African-American players for a racist element, comprising at least vocal minorities. Gordon Wittenmeyer wrote, in the past, Milton Bradley has accused teammate Jeff Kent of not being able to get along with black players. Milton Bradley called a black beat reporter an Uncle Tom, that's in quotes. And Milton Bradley picked up a plastic bottle that had been thrown near him from the stands and threw it back at the feet of the fans. And last summer left the clubhouse in uniform to find a Kansas City broadcaster who made comments referencing his personal life. That was what the editor, Stu Courtney, of the Sun-Times opted to run on a front-page story, April 15th, on the 62nd anniversary of Jackie Robinson's breaking into the big leagues in 47, the day that everybody wore number 42. Why do I bring this up? In today's 3 major papers, and if you don't read them, I'll do it for you right now. 2 of the papers, but not the 3rd, refer to Milton Bradley being upset about a story written in the Sun-Times recently that had to do with racism. Here's Bruce Miles, Daily Herald. Had problems with a piece in the Sun-Times dealing with black players have had with racism. Tribune today, Paul Sullivan. Bradley returned a few minutes later into the locker room and told a Sun-Times reporter, this is yesterday after the game. Obviously, the inference is he's talking about Gordon Wittenmeyer. Paul Sullivan, the Tribune, writes, Bradley returned a few minutes later and told Gordon Wittenmeyer, that's my belief, that Bradley was upset about a recent feature story in which he was asked about dealing with potential racial abuse from bleacher fans at Wrigley Field. So I'm going this way. This is interesting. Right here, I read my Daily Herald, I read my Tribune. Paul Sullivan in the Tribune says, hey, Bradley went and, well, wait a minute, I thought he wasn't talking to anybody. Haven't you heard that he's boycotting the media, but yet in the Tribune I read this morning from Paul Sullivan that Bradley talked to the Sun-Times reporter about that racial story. So I go over to my Sun-Times. I figure this will be very interesting to see how Gordon Wittenmeyer handles this. Guess what? Oh, you already guessed. The one paper that never mentions the racial story is the paper that wrote it, the Sun-Times. Here's the way Gordon Wittenmeyer handled it. After the sleepy 7-1 loss to the Reds Thursday, the Cubs locker room, Bradley, who didn't play, had a terse, T-E-R-S-E, a terse conversation with a few remaining reporters in the clubhouse. Well, that contradicts Sullivan, who said he spoke directly to Wittenmeyer. Wittenmeyer couched it by saying he talked to the remaining reporters. I read it 3 times, nothing about racial. That's fine. Gordon can slant it however he and Stu Courtney wished to. Now, this morning, everyone kept gaining momentum, and I want to open up the phones. 644-6767. If an athlete boycotts the media, are you mad? Should a player talk to the press? And the other thing is he did not boycott the media, as is being popularly reported, because, A, he talked to Wittenmeyer, according to Sullivan, and he went to the Cubs website written by Carrie Muscat, MLB.com, the House organ. That would still count as media, right? All right. Here's our own handling of the story this morning on the Score. And our, 9:30 a.m. scoreboard update. Our guy, Zach Zaidman.
Bradley telling the Cubs team website he's boycotting the media because he simply doesn't like the way he's being covered. Cubs coming off a 7-1 loss to Cincinnati. They're in St. Louis tonight.
Why didn't he, when he spoke with Gordon Wittenmeyer, pick up the paper this morning and see that Gordon Wittenmeyer, why didn't they do the same big story? Milton Bradley upset with our racial slant on Jackie Robinson's day. They ran away. They ran like hell. But yet, everyone's reporting, including us, and no disrespect to Zach. Zach's reporting the story the way it's coming down the line. The story is, what? Milton Bradley's not talking to the media. Well, excuse me for living, but wouldn't the Cubs, Jay Zawaski, you follow this a lot more than I do. The medium of the MLB.com, wouldn't this be part of the media, even though it's the Cubs house organ? When Bradley meets with, her name's Carrie Muscat, she's a 30-year reporter in Chicago. She covers the Cubs.com. Sure, it's a house organ, it's in-house. We're not idiots, we understand it. Wouldn't that still be media?
That's media to me, absolutely.
All right, so he does report to the media, and he does talk to the media. Are you upset that he doesn't talk to your friendly reporter? Zach Zaidman points out for everyone to hear, hey, you know what? He ain't talking to anybody.
Bradley telling the Cubs team website he's boycotting the media because he simply doesn't like the way he's being covered. Cubs coming off a 7-1 loss to...
Okay. I'm not talking to the media, but yet we're reading about it in the media. Here's the bigger question. Maybe you're smart enough to figure this out for me. Murph till 2. Vuk is on your side. Jeff Vukovich is Murph's nationwide insurance agent of the year. He's right there in Park Ridge. He's a family guy. He covers all your insurance needs. Jeff Vukovich. Everybody knows Vuk. Someday you will also. Let me ask you this, if you're hopefully smarter than I. Why is the Chicago media, in your opinion, trying to turn fans against Milton Bradley? That's the question. And the next question is, Cub fans, if you're out there, help me out. Other than going 1 for 21, what has Milton Bradley done to make everyone so mad at him? They just showed the replay of the Hoffpower trying to catch that ball on the curve of the well, 6 feet high. That ball hasn't been caught, Mr. Piniella, since the ballpark was reconfigured in 37. Dawson wouldn't have caught it. The wind's also blowing right to left, which bringing it back into that curve of the brick. What do I know? I'm just a fan. And when you start booing Milton Bradley the next time the Cubs are home, Cub fans, let me ask you this. What's it going to accomplish? Now, you have the right to boo. You buy the stinking ticket. You can boo all you want. Now, there's a difference between Sox fans when they booed Jerry Owens, who was just a, $400,000 AAA roster filler that's going to be gone anyway. What's the upside, Cub fans, when you're going to start booing Milton Bradley when he's here for 3 more years or 2 years, depending on the clause? And are you going to boo him because the media told you so? David Schuster will come on with me a little bit later. David is very, very against the fact that Bradley won't talk to the media. Me? I couldn't give a damn. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. David Schuster.
Question, which will happen first? Milton Bradley getting hot with his bat or Bradley talking to the media? Neither is happening at the moment. Following yesterday's loss, a group of media, including myself, approached him to find out how his injury was healing and hopefully his thoughts on his recent suspension and appeal. Bradley turned the group down, complaining about recent coverage. He said he never gets a fair shake in larger markets like Chicago. He then opted to speak only to a reporter from the Cubs website. Team higher-ups are increasingly getting frustrated by Bradley's attitude and probably equally frustrated with his .044 batting average.
Bingo.
At Wrigley, I'm David Schuster on WSCR The Score.
All right, David will join me in a little while. Let me just say this. In my opinion, and I don't pick up the phone and bother Jim Hendry during the day like some people in town on the radio, on TV, hey, Jim, what's... I can tell you this. In my opinion, I could be wrong. Jim Hendry, he couldn't care either if Bradley talks to anybody, but what Jim is figuring out is that there's someone here in this town, be it Wittenmeyer or everybody, that wants to run this guy out of town, Bradley, and they want to get the fans on his ass. So Hendry has probably sat down Bradley and said, hey, you know what? If you talk to some of these knuckleheads, some of them are not knuckleheads, but if you talk to these reporters, maybe we'll be able to get the fans back on your side. So I want to ask Cub fans, are you down on this guy because of what you read or because if it's because he's 1 for 22, that's fine. Sports Radio 670, it's Murph back in a flash. Tool of the week in about 45 minutes, it's the score. Our web poll right now is 50-50, 67011. Yes or no, should Vinny Del Negro start the same 5 guys in Game 4? Rose Gordon, Salmons, Noah, Thomas. Yes or no?
I think you can make it much easier on yourself. Communicating. That's basically up to the individual, but at the same time, you're in the public limelight, and people want to know what's going on.
Uncle Lou, it's Murph, driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. Brian Urlacher, he won't talk to any of the writers. He talks to his blog guy. What's his name? That blog guy he talks to all the time. Right. Now, see, another 10 years from now, 5 years from now, here's what's going to happen. All the athletes will simply have their own blog, website, whatever, you call texting, tweeting, whatever they're going to do. Now, a very sad thing happened in Chicago about 24 hours ago, 2 days ago perhaps. 4 senior veteran writers were let go from the Chicago Tribune for financial concerns, I would imagine that was the reason. Melissa Isaacson, who has a terrific column in the Tribune today, her goodbye column, please try to read it. Sacco, this is what I understand. I hope I'm wrong. I hope all 4 are still working there. I don't know this for a fact. Sakamoto, Terry Bannon is his name, and our guy John Moon Mullen, who they'll all land on their feet. Reporters in the locker room right now are probably threatened. Think about it. If the guy doesn't talk to them, they really don't have a job. They really don't have a job. Without me, you don't have a job? It was from many, many years ago. Hey, let me ask you this, and I'll ask David Schuster. In spring training, didn't Milton Bradley talk to all the reporters? It stopped on April 15th when the Sun-Times used him for this unwarranted, in my opinion, timing to put a racially speculative, biased piece on the front page of Sun-Times on Jackie Robinson's big day. But the question to you, do you care if the player, any player, talks to the press at all? Do you care? And are you going to be mad and boo Milton Bradley because he's 1 for 21 or because you're being told by the press that he's a bad dude? In order, AJ from Orland Park. In the order the calls came in. Hello, AJ.
Hey, what's up, Murph?
Hey, you're too young to remember Jack Brickhouse. He would go, hey.
I love old Jack. Hey, Murph.
Yes.
You know what? Milton Bradley was brought here to perform. He's off to a slow start.
Yes.
He's going to come around, and I could care less if he talks to the media, man. I just need him there in October when it's time to hit. That's all I want him for.
Now, I agree with you, but let me quick follow up, AJ. Yes, I agree with you. However, a lot of people go to one game a year. They see in the paper, because the reporters, they don't like Milton Bradley. The reporters don't like him. So what about the guy that goes to one game a year and she reads, this guy's a bad dude. And then they want to start booing him. I don't mind if you boo him for production, though I don't think there's any upside, to be honest, with a fan to boo him when you got him for 2 or 3 more years. But what about that casual fan? The media, why is the media trying to slant you against Milton? Do you guess? I don't know.
You know what, Murph? The only thing I could think of is maybe they want this guy to slip up so they can get a good story on him.
Hold on now, AJ. Maybe they want him to fail. Right?
Maybe they do.
That's got to be one of the possible. I don't say that is the reason, but if we're going to in a court of law, that's got to be one of the possibilities. Let me write it down. Maybe media. Why does the media want Bradley to fail? That's going to be my question for later on, AJ. Thanks for getting me rolling, buddy.
All right, buddy.
All right, appreciate it. Look, the phone lines are jammed. Where do I go? What do I do? Let's go to car phone. Jim has got an angle. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Murph, first time, man.
Hey, thank you.
How's it going, man?
Thanks.
Hey, listen, it doesn't bother. I don't need to hear from Milton Bradley or anybody in interviews because all I'm looking for is these guys to go out there and perform on the field, put the numbers up, and get wins. My thing is, Milton Bradley plays the other day, and he probably shouldn't have been out there. I agree with that.
Now, hold that thought. Now, that's the key. I know I'll give you a chance. Hang on.
Okay.
He probably should not have played. I wonder why the Cubs medical staff, Hendry, and Lou allowed him to play on a colder night when it was going to be a warm day game tomorrow, or why they didn't DL him in the first place. But you're going to go on and say how he did not run hard, which is a fact.
It is a fact. However,
yes,
everybody came out the next day and said that the guy was probably dogging it. I don't think that's...
Now wait, hold on. Who said that?
Well, I was listening to a lot of different shows.
All right.
A lot of callers calling in saying, I don't know, is the guy dogging it? Is he hurt?
Now, we don't know.
But everybody knows the guy was hurt because he's been out for a while with the groin pull. He probably shouldn't have been playing, but he goes out there and does play, and everybody wants to kill the guy because they're saying that he's dogging.
By him trying to play, he got himself in a pickle with some of the writers and the fans.
Well, and there you go, some of the writers. So now, if you're Milton, then the next day it all comes out, he was dogging it, maybe not. Now, if you're him, do you want to talk to all those guys that are sitting there saying that maybe you were dogging it? They don't know if he was dogging it or not. I doubt the guy's dogging it. He seems like a pretty intense player to me that wants to do nothing but win and perform. And everybody's going to sit there and go, he's dogging it. Come on, they don't know if he's dogging it or not.
And, Jim, I'll leave you with this. We don't have time for your comeback, but think about this. Why is the media trying to bury Bradley to the Cub fans? Jim, I'll visit you again. Phone again, okay, buddy?
Easy, buddy.
Okay, I'll phone you again. Get Jim's number. I want to phone him again. Back in a flash. Everyone on hold will get to you. Tool of the week at 1 o'clock. And David Schuster's going to check in. Oh, man, get the seatbelts on. It could be a rough, bumpy ride with David because he wants those athletes to speak with him as well he ought to. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Hey, what I do give a damn about is my guys, Jack Phelan Chevrolet. You gotta see Jack.com, home of the GM Total Confidence Package, the OnStar, the vehicle value protection, payment protection, and the 5-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Check it all out at Jack Phelan Chevrolet. You gotta see Jack.com. Your hot phone ringing. Very few people have the inside number. Hello, it's Murph.
Hello, Murph.
David Schuster. David, everyone's talking about the story that I don't even think is a story, but the fans are all fired up right here about the hot-button man, Milton Bradley, and you were down there.
I was there.
After the game yesterday. If I can quickly read Paul Sullivan in the Tribune today, Bradley returned, talking about after the game in the locker room a few minutes later, and told a Sun-Times reporter that Bradley was upset about a recent feature story. That would have been the April 15th racial story about the bleachers at Wrigley Field, abuse. And then I read the Sun-Times to try to find out more about it, and just that there was a terse conversation with a bunch of reporters. David, it sounds like everybody's very upset press-wise with Milton Bradley. Other than Kerry Muscat, everybody's upset with Milton.
All right, let me correct you on a, I hate to say this, Murph, on a bunch of things. Okay, first of all, you said that he started boycotting the media on April 15th after that story. That's not true.
All right.
He started boycotting after April 12th up in Milwaukee when he got the injury. He decided he wasn't going to talk to anybody from there on out.
All right.
Why? I have no idea.
To talk about the injury, you mean?
Yeah, just talk about the injury. How you feeling?
Why should he?
Why shouldn't he?
Well, because in the NHL, now they call it
This is not the NHL, by the way.
I'm not an idiot.
I know that.
In the NHL, they now have the injuries upper body and lower body. The day is not far away where the leagues will, in my opinion, David, the leagues will say, we're not talking about any injuries because other than gamblers, who needs to know?
Well, in baseball, they do still talk about the injuries.
Now,
and how tough would it be to say, you know what, guys, I suffered a groin injury. I had this injury in the past. Giovanni Soto suffered the bicep injury, okay? He had the same injury in the minors 3 years ago. And he said so. How tough was that?
Well, here, if I were a GM, and I'm not for good reason because I'd be inept, I leave that for, guys that are actually good at it like Kenny and Jim Hendry and Steve Stone. Now, you can laugh if you want. Now, if I were a GM, I would have a rule that no one talks to the reporters about injuries. But that's just me.
Okay, that's
just me.
That's a different subject.
Well, no, it isn't, because the reason that you keep bringing up is you won't talk about the injury.
Well, because Murph.
Well, I'm just telling you.
Murph. We all waited for him yesterday because he hasn't talked to anybody since April 12th. How many days is that? It's 3 weeks.
So,
okay, a lot has happened to him and the team in the last 3 weeks, and he has been avoiding everybody on purpose in that clubhouse, being invisible, and don't think that his teammates don't recognize this also.
Oh, now we got something.
And we can get to that
so
in a second.
There's a divided locker room.
I'm just saying it's not a good thing.
Now we got some scoop.
Well, potentially. I don't know. Maybe after a while we'll start asking around to some of the players, is there a divided locker room?
All right, now that I would like reported right away. Now that to me would be a meat and potatoes.
Okay, I'm not saying that as of yet. I'm just saying they are certainly witness to the fact that he has been hiding from the media for 3 weeks. It's pretty obvious. Okay, what do we want to talk to him about? I don't care about his thoughts on Jackie Robinson or racism or anything else. There's four...
Well, the Sun-Times seemed to think it was important.
That was a stupid article.
But so the April 12th he stopped talking. April 15th the story comes out. So by 3 days I award you that point.
Listen, okay... That's not the reason why he's boycotting the media. He's boycotting the media because he just has a thing on his shoulder. He just doesn't like talking to the media in general. He could have made up any reason whatsoever.
Are you guys mad at him?
I'm a little annoyed that he won't be a human being and take a minute or two just to talk about some pertinent subjects.
Right.
And you know what? His manager on record, you played the piece of tape. They want him to talk and get this thing over with.
Why?
Because it
you are correct.
it takes pressure off everybody, including himself. The longer this thing festers, the worse it gets for him. Listen, do you think that they want
us... As long as what festers?
The fact that we're even talking about this right now.
Well, I listened to your report right here earlier today, and Zach Zaidman. Everyone's talking about how he won't talk to the media.
He's not.
Well, but it's just because you guys keep bringing it up.
Well, Murphy's not talking. What? Because, listen, you want to have this discussion or argument? Go call up Jim Hendry right now. Jim Hendry wants him to talk.
I believe.
He wants him to take 2 minutes and talk about some pertinent subjects.
I understand that's a fact. But
okay.
Why? But what is the motivation? Yes, you are correct.
Okay, what is the motivation?
Correct.
The motivation is because it probably takes, I'm guessing now, it takes pressure off his teammates.
No, he's trying to get you guys off his ass so that the fan that goes once a year and reads in the paper he's a bad dude doesn't start booing his ass for no reason other than he won't talk to the press.
Well,
That's my guess.
Okay, listen, maybe I don't know if Milton Bradley's a bad guy or not. All I know is...
Hey, here's an idea. Why doesn't everybody just talk to the other 24 people?
Excuse me?
Why doesn't everybody, all the media folks, and again, I don't go in the locker room. It's not, I'm happy that you're there. So, David, you're my guy. I couldn't do what you do. Don't get me wrong. It's a terrible, tough job. Not terrible. It's a tough job, and I'm glad you do it. But why don't you just talk to the other 24 guys and leave the poor son of a gun alone?
Well, we talk to them all, Murph, and we try and pick our spots. And as I alluded to on one of the earlier shows today, the media in Chicago is pretty soft overall, if I can characterize it. So, you know what? No one's out to get Milton Bradley. You also said this earlier. The media's trying to run Milton Bradley out of town.
I believe
Incorrect.
I believe Wittenmeyer.
Incorrect.
I believe Wittenmeyer is.
No, he's not.
All right, well, that's just my belief. I'm
telling
wrong.
you he's not.
Well, that's good enough for me, then. I'm wrong.
Okay, but listen, if you think that, what did you do with Jack Jones?
Well, see, Wittenmeyer covered Jack Jones.
Yeah?
At the Twins.
Okay, but...
Hold on. You asked me about Jones, and I wasn't going to bring it up.
Well, I did.
But you did.
I did.
You're aware that Wittenmeyer covered
Yes,
Jack.
he was the beat writer up in Minnesota, yes.
And the 2 years, I don't know if Wittenmeyer covered the Cubs the first year of Jones or the second year, but he was, and it was his prerogative. He was very much in the corner of Jack Jones, and has one of the leaders, Wittenmeyer, I believe to be correct on this, in pointing out the racial problems, the phone calls and all that with the phone number. Now, would it not look good to Wittenmeyer and Jack Jones if Bradley failed? It would show that Jack Jones was not the bad player that maybe I portrayed him to be, but he was run out of town by a bunch of racists. That's what I think this is about right now.
Well, I sure hope not.
Well, let me ask you, David, let me ask you this. I got 3 papers in front of me today. Bruce Miles mentions Bradley and the racist story. The Tribune Sullivan mentions Bradley and the racial abuse story. And then I read the paper that wrote the damn story today, and they don't mention the word racial or that story. Now, to me, I'm just connecting the dots. I must be an idiot. Which you can laugh at. If you laugh at Stone, you can laugh at me. Go ahead.
No, I'm not laughing at you.
I know.
I don't know what Gordon Wittenmeyer's MO is on that, but what I would suggest is you get him on your airwaves and talk to him. Ask him that. I don't know.
He's welcome to come on.
Oh,
hey, Jay Zawoski.
Make the invite.
Jay, write that down.
Yeah, I'll invite him on.
Have we ever invited him on?
I think we have in the past, not gotten a call back, but we'll try again.
He was busy.
Yeah, of course.
You know what? I'll even put a call into him myself and suggest he come on and talk to you about it.
And I got another idea. Maybe Stu Courtney, because here's what I want to find out. Who suggested that racially inflamed story on April 15th on an off day on Jackie Robinson's day? I don't know either. How would I know? I don't know. It's one of the two. Right?
I don't know.
Hold on, David. It had to be either Wittenmeyer or Courtney, right?
I don't know.
Well, who's the third guy? Did you recommend
Murph, I don't work for a newspaper. I work for a radio station.
Nobody works for him anymore.
Okay. All I know is it was a dumb story, and the timing was even worse. Okay. But let me get back to Milton Bradley for a second.
Yeah.
In the last 3 weeks, he's had this injury. He's also been suspended. He's appealing the suspension. He's off to a 1 for whatever start. There are reasons to talk to him. I'm not going to go to this guy on a daily basis, knowing that he doesn't like to talk to the media. I'll avoid him like the plague.
Here's what he says.
But not now.
Here's what he says to Carrie Muscat, the only media. Would you consider Cubs.com, MLB.com media?
Yes, I do.
All right. Here's what he says to Carrie Muscat. Last night it appears right here now. When I turn around in the locker room, people are standing by my locker. I try to figure out why, because I've already told them I don't want to talk. That, he continues one more sentence, because that's the only thing. I've never had a problem with the media until I started reading stuff that wasn't what I said. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But if he says he doesn't want to talk, why do you keep badgering him?
Well, first of all, I had never heard that he didn't want to talk. I heard through the media.
That's what he told Carrie now in the today's story.
Well, that's great. That's not what I had heard from his mouth because, again, Murph, I hadn't seen him in the clubhouse the entire
He was nice. How about spring training? You were there for a short time.
Yeah,
he was nice to everybody.
He was fine.
Well, what the hell happened? 7th?
I don't know. Well, that's why we'd like to ask him.
You probably didn't like that Jackie Robinson Day story.
Maybe he's just upset that he's won for whatever so far.
Yeah.
Maybe he's upset that he can't play up to his capabilities because he's injured. So take the minute and talk about it and be done with it.
Oh, if Jock Jones' cell phone number had never gotten out. David, we'll leave you with this. The text results are in. I asked the yes-no question to our Bulls fans. David Schuster at Berto Center right now. Yes or no, should Vinny Del Negro start the same 5 guys in Game 4 Sunday at noon that he started in the first 3 games? And right now we have yes 55%, no 45%, which is very, very close. Do you think Vinny should consider making one change just to shake it up?
No, I don't think he should make a change. And the answer to the question then is yes, start the same lineup.
What about Heinrich and let Gordon come off the bench?
No.
Okay. David, it's always great sport with you, and I look forward to our next visit, my friend.
I enjoyed it, Murph.
Thank you, David.
Thanks.
David Schuster live at DeBerto Center, and everyone on hold will get right to you when we return. By the way, Tool of the Week at 1 o'clock, my friends at RentalMax.com. Sports Radio 670. Murph, hope you're having a fun, feckless Friday. Oh, we're going to talk about Bartolo Colon. Hey, how about some of the things DJ was saying? You got to love DJ talking about Colon. He says, it might help if he threw a curveball every once in a while or threw the ball a little harder. And I'm still surprised that everyone's all over Hoffpower for his defensive plays out there. The kid never plays right field. And Derek Lee was E1 on a throw to pickoff to first. E1 on Zambrano. Ball goes down the line. Replays will show that the ball was right there off Derek Lee's glove. I still think he needs his eyes checked. That's the score. Murph. Driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. Back in a flash. Hey, that hour brought to you by Menards.
Question, which will happen first? Milton Bradley getting hot with his bat or Bradley talking to the media? Neither is happening at the moment. Following yesterday's loss, a group of media, including myself, approached him to find out how his injury was healing and hopefully his thoughts on his recent suspension and appeal. Bradley turned the group down, complaining about recent coverage. He said he never gets a fair shake in larger markets like Chicago. He then opted to speak only to a reporter from the Cubs website. Team higher-ups are increasingly getting frustrated by Bradley's attitude and probably equally frustrated with his .044 batting average. At Wrigley, I'm David Schuster on WSCR The Score.
Bradley telling the Cubs team website he's boycotting the media because he simply doesn't like the way he's being covered. Cubs coming off a 7-1 loss to Cincinnati.
Zacharoo and Big David, it's Murph. Hey, the only thing that bothers me is 1 for 23. Why is the media in this town trying to steer you against Milton Bradley? Or are they? And what will booing him accomplish if you're a Cubs fan? And if he wants to appear only on the filtered Cubs website page, well, fine. To me, that's fine. Why is everybody so mad at Milton? Let's go to Rockford. Miles is next on the score. Hello, Miles.
Hey, Murph, how's it going?
Hi, Miles. Lot on the platter here. What do you have for me?
Well, I got a few quick points here.
Yeah.
First off, Milton Bradley, I don't understand how anybody can be upset at the way that he's acting towards the media. This guy doesn't owe the media anything.
Well, hold on, some would say, and I'm pretty much with you, but some would say, well, you know what? He's making $10 million a year. It's a major corporation. The conduit to the fans is through the newspapers. So, there are arguments on both sides, but continue, Miles.
Yes. My whole basis of evaluation of somebody is what they do on the field, not what they say to the media.
And right now, not so hot.
Exactly, but I'm in the camp of, it's such a small sample size right now. He's going to heat up, and you have to take into account his on-base percentage as well, which isn't horrible right now. It's decent.
Well, it's in the 260s, I believe, 267, but he's hitting .043. There's no two ways about that. All we do know is that, and I appreciate the call, Miles. I'm up against the clock, and Tool of the Week. Thanks, buddy. All we do know, yes, sir, all we do know is that he led the American League in on base. And he's up in the league leaders on base plus slugging, and he's up in the league leaders every year in pitches seen. That's his style at the plate. But Parman from Evanston might differ with me on that. Hello, Parman.
Yeah, Murph. How you doing, Murph? This is Parman.
Parman.
Here's my angle on it. My angle is that, what aggravates me about him is his body language. He gets some a strike called against him or a bad strike, let's say, and most players do throughout the year.
Let me ask you this, Power Man. Does Carlos Zambrano's body language piss you off when he, pitches a no-hitter and he's mad at the ump?
Absolutely.
All right.
You haven't seen him boycotting the media, do you?
Well, that's now. Hold on. Now, see, you're mixing up my apples and my oranges, and I'm not that smart to stay with you. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, see, Zambrano has his moments, and he gets under my skin a little bit. But you know what? Next outing is a different outing. He's out there, and you see him smiling.
Hey, how about when Z punched out Michael Barrett?
I don't have a problem.
All right. What if Milton Bradley punched out Coy Hill?
You know what? If in the locker room, they can go at it.
There you go. Hey, I got to blast off. Phone again from Evanston, okay?
All right, bud.
Thanks, Power Man. All right. Murph, driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. 60% our final result. Vinny Del Negro stick with the starting five in Game 4. Rose Gordon, Salmons, Noah, and Tyrus. I'll bet you he changes it up. Of course, I'm usually wrong. But I'm not wrong about this. Tool of the Week is next, correct?
You're absolutely correct.
Fired up now. Rental Max, Tool of the Week, 644-6767 is the score. Murpho, driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com.
Nice tools. Can you hand me that impact wrench?
Did you use the word tool?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's time for the Tool of the Week Award with Mike Murphy here on the Score. Sports Radio 670.
I think he's a tool.
T-O-O-L? He's a tool. He's a tool. He's a knob, and I don't want him.
Who's been a tool in the sports world this week? Dial it up at 312-644-6767. That's 312-644-6767. And hammer whoever you like on the Score. Sports Radio 670.
My point is that I am a tool, and I brought additional tools to this team.
I think he's going to get a lot of tools before this year is over.
Tool of the Week is brought to you by Rental Max
and RentalMax.com. All phone lines are jammed. That's your indication when someone hangs up. Dial quickly. Tool of the Week means I want you to nominate the biggest sports tool over the last 7 days. Everybody's eligible as long as they're involved in the world of sports. And RentalMax.com. Rental Max is your location for all your spring tool and equipment needs. Now, we'll get right to the phones, but I just wanted to remind you, everyone knows Rental Max is perfect for the big general contractors. Hey, all you GCs, perfect for the facility plant operations manager. But weekend warriors, backyard guys like yourself, Rental Max, they're local guys also, just like you. Not a big national chain, working on the yard, working on the deck, working on the patio. This will be a great weekend. Spring's rolling. Go to RentalMax.com. They'll help you out. They'll help deliver the equipment. Let's bring in Northside Todd is first on the Score. Hello, Todd.
Mark, first off, great segment there earlier with that David Schuster. That is the only reason, you are the only reason why I listen to this radio station. That's why you're the best.
Well, we all do it differently, Todd. I appreciate that. Everybody's eligible. Who's your tool?
Well, real fast, a quick fact for you. Milton Bradley's contract, 30-year vest, only if he plays 75 games in the first year.
Yeah, I said 3 years, but 2 years with the contract. Right.
Tool goes to David Schuster. Bradley owes you and your cohorts nothing. I care what he hits, what his OPS is, and how he contributes to the team winning a World Series. He doesn't know the reporters anything. And these reporters who keep using the fans as an excuse, you're not a mouthpiece to the fans. That's just an easy excuse to get mad at this guy because he doesn't speak to them. That means absolutely nothing to me, and all the other fans out there who I've spoken to, it means nothing to them either. If he doesn't produce, he doesn't produce. We won't like him, or we're not out of town for that. But this other business is nonsense, and don't use the fans as a reason why you're not happy with this guy.
Northside,
David Schuster.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks for the kind words.
Tool of the Week. I believe I've been on Tool of the Week before. I'm excited for that.
The whip, right? It's just a fun, feckless Friday here on the Score. Carroll Stream Rick is next. Hello, Rick.
Hey, Murph, how are you?
I'm fine. Rick, you know what? I just want the guy to every player, sink or swim on what you do on the field. But, hey, what do I know? That's why I rely on you and all the other fans. Who's your tool, Rick?
My tool is Gordon Wittenmeyer, and really it's just mostly because he's the Cubs beat reporter, but this could go out to a lot of different Chicago media at this point. But here's the thing, from day one, from the minute that this deal was announced, the Chicago media has been nothing but brutal on Milton Bradley and his past and everything that he's done in the past, and they've not stopped since then. How many things have you read, or how many things have you heard about Milton Bradley that resemble positiveness, and yet now everybody's scratching their heads why Milton Bradley is not going to talk to the media.
How about this? Hang on, Rick. How about when they first signed him, the Sun-Times again, their front page picture was him, yelling at a fan or enraged at an umpire, and then everybody also used this convenient, incorrect story. He tore up his knee arguing with the umpire. Well, what he really did was he was arguing with the umpire, the ump who was later reprimanded by the league for either escalating it or using bad language. He was tackled by his manager,
by his own coach,
Bochy, if I'm not mistaken, with the Pods at the time, and that's what tore the knee up. So even though factually correct, he tore up his knee arguing with the ump, it should have been when his manager threw him on the ground. That might have helped a little to be more fair.
And that's correct. And that day was a Thursday, and I did call for What's My Beef because the Sun-Times ran 3 articles on 2 pages. Mm-hmm. And why doesn't Milton Bradley want to talk to the media? Gee, I don't know. You know what? Neither would I. Care how much money this guy makes or what team this guy plays for. He doesn't owe any of us an interview, and I don't care.
Rick, and you got Gordon Wittenmeyer for Tool of the Week. Thank you very much for your time.
Take care, Murph.
All right, buddy.
There's so many tools just in baseball.
Hey, Jay, do I get a chance to nominate my own tool right here?
Yes, it's your show.
All right. Jimmy Smith. Now, I pulled this off the AP earlier this week. It got very little coverage. Authorities, Jacksonville, Florida, Dateline, Associated Press. Authorities say former Jacksonville Jaguar wide receiver Jimmy Smith was pulled over and found with crack cocaine and marijuana in his car. Happens every day. Why would he be the tool? Well, let's read on. Florida Highway Patrol Lieutenant so-and-so says the 40-year-old Smith who played blah, 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 here we go, was pulled over on Interstate 95 for what? For excessive window tint on his 2009 Mercedes-Benz. Wouldn't you think I'm going to drive around smoking some dope and cracking some crack? Wouldn't you think it might not be a bad idea to not have excessively tinted windows so that the state bull pulls me over? I'm just wondering. You would think that might be something you'd think about.
He's got every tool you need.
Let's go next. That was Jimmy Smith. Let's go next to Bloomington. Brandon going down to Central Illinois. Hey, Brandon.
I'm actually Bloomington, Indiana. But
I got Bloomington on my mind. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine.
All right, I'm going with Vinny Del Negro.
What did he do?
I think he's been a joke so far. I mean, obviously there's the big situation. The first 2 games, the Bulls, he almost lost the first 2 games. The first game had no timeouts left, and luckily Paul Pierce missed a free throw. The second game where Ray Allen hit that buzzer beater, he had no timeout, so there wasn't even an option to go half court and try to hit a shot. And not to mention the first game, I believe it was, his dad was on the bench. I don't know what the hell that was.
Well, it was a nice seat. He was able to get Pops a good seat. Doesn't mean, if you're an engineer on a train that you should have your dad sitting with you either,
Yeah, I thought it was weird, though. And also, I mean, they have not found a way to stop Rajon Rondo. The Bulls always find a way to make guys that aren't stars look like superstars against them.
Vinny, let me ask you this, Brandon. Let me ask you this. We got you down for Vinny. Brandon, Bloomington, Indiana, hotbed of basketball. Would you change up any of the starting 5 Sunday at noon if you were Vinny Del Negro? Rose, Gordon, Salmons, Noah, Tyrus.
It's going to be kind of surprising, but I actually would start Kirk Heinrich over Derrick Rose.
Over Derrick Rose?
Derrick Rose has not been good since the first game. He's been turning the ball over, not been aggressive. Unless they can find a way to get his aggression back, I think Heinrich should start.
Brandon, going to take a few more tool calls. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks.
What a tool.
All right. Now, I want to just mention something to you. My friends at Rental Max. Now, you might have a beautiful backyard, beautiful front yard, or you might have one of those yards that go, oh, my God, you know what? I got to work on this yard. Now, this weekend, next weekend, this is the prime time to get working on your grass, your yard. Here's what you do. You go to rentalmax.com because they're going to help you. Here's what they have. They have an aerator, a slit seeder. Now, you got to have a dethatcher. See, if you don't dethatch before you put down the seed and the fertilizer and the turf builder, it just lays there on the old dead grass. You got to dethatch, and then you got to aerate. Now, you can walk around like a goof in your old golf spikes, which they don't even allow you to use anymore. Or you can get that aerator. Go to RentalMax.com. Here's Roger Bossert. He was on Hit and Run recently, and he's talking about the golf shoes.
What's a tip that you can give someone who's trying to bring back to life their lawn after what happened this winter?
Well, it's going to be two things. One is aerification. Actually, if you just go out and with your golf shoes just to aerify it, and the other is, honestly, get your water turned on as quickly as possible. I've been watering my grass since March 14th. City water comes out 48 to 50 degrees. That's the single most important thing that brings your plant out of dormancy at this time of the year.
There you go. Aerate. Dethatch. RentalMax.com. Hey, they can set up delivery. Plant managers, general contractors, RentalMax.com. Here's last week's winner. Don Cooper. What did Coop do? I don't even remember.
All over this land.
Coop got tooled up last week for something. Give it to me, Coop.
Well, if I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning.
Albert Bell.
I'd ring it in the evening.
Todd Bell.
All over this.
All right, plant managers, I just talking to you, facility operation guys, thetowngroup.com, thetowngroup.com, West Town, North Town, Southwest Town, and Northwest Town. My guys, the white trucks, the red stripes, for the big piping, chiller, air conditioning jobs in the spring, the big jobs, they do it right. Thetowngroup.com, second round of phone calls when we return.
I'd hammer in the morning.
Yeah, I like Coop.
I'd hammer in the evening. All over this land.
Welcome back. Second round of phone calls. It's Murph till 2. Hope you're having a fun, feckless Friday. Anyone involved in the world of sports is eligible for Tool of the Week from my friends at RentalMax.com. So far, David Schuster, Gordon Wittenmeyer, Vinny Del Negro, and Jimmy Smith with his illegally clouded up, tinted glass in his car. Whoops. Not a good idea. Let's go to the phones. Remember, Rental Max, why buy it? They got it. You need it. Go rent it by the day, by the month, by the week. They're local guys. 10 locations around Chicago. RentalMax.com, Aurora, Chicago. Crest Hill, Downers Grove, Joliet. Lake Zurich, Orland Park, Roselle, St. Chuck, and Wheaton. Let's go to Scott from the north side. Hey, Scott.
How are you, Murph?
Good. Tool time. Who do you have, my friend?
Okay, well, I'll tell you. I don't even know if this guy deserves to be part of sports, but I'll put in Lawrence Holmes, okay, with his LWO, with him bashing the Chicago Bulls. I mean, give me a break, you know? I mean, the guy is a Chicago guy. He's bashing the Bulls left and right. He's happy that they're losing. He's calling everyone a clown.
Oh, he's not really happy the Bullies are losing. He's just playing with you.
Hey, you know what? He can play all he wants, but you know what? He's a local Chicago guy. Lives in Hyde Park, according to what he says. And you know what? I mean, give me a break.
Here's hey, Scott, phone Lawrence and tell him that. I know he'll put you right on the air, but I have Lawrence Holmes down. Everybody's eligible. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate your call.
Murph. Take care, buddy.
All right.
Well, he's in a situation now where he's certainly been given the tools.
Let's go to whose voice? Who was that? Who was that?
It's Pat Foley.
Oh, man. Can you bring it up again, or is it in a rotation there?
I'll get it. Give me 1 second.
Take till 2 o'clock.
Well, he's in a situation now where he's certainly been given the tools.
I love Pat Foley. I knew that I couldn't pick off the voice right. There's Lizard on the north side. I never forget Lizard's voice. Hey, Liz.
How you doing, Murph?
Fine, Lizard. Tool of the week. Who you got?
David Schuster.
Oh, he jumps to the lead right here. Go ahead, Lizard.
The man comes off like a petulant child wanting to get a treat out of his parents' cookie jar. Murph, tell him leave it alone. If nobody wants to talk to you, find something else.
I said, David, there's 24 other guys. Hey, Lizard.
You know, it's 4 other guys out, 24 other guys on this team. Find out what's going on with the tempo of the team, the climate, the makeup, badger the manager, the coaches, but leave the individual players alone. They don't want to talk, leave them alone.
Hold on, listen, I'm going to steal that line. I'm going to put a copyright trademark on it. Badger to manager. I like that. Badger to manager. Lizard, are you following the Bulls as always, may I ask?
You know, I'm a big Bulls fan, Murph, and I don't like what's going on.
Would you?
That's what's happening.
Would you change any of the starting 5? My text poll right now from my friends at U.S. Cellular, 60% are saying stick with it. Stay with the start. 40% are saying shake up something. Would you come back Sunday with the same 5 right out of the box, Lizard?
If it were me, I would stay with the same lineup. But if I had to make a change, Tyrus Thomas got to come out.
Gotcha. Lizard, don't be a stranger. Always a pleasure.
Well, not Murph.
Thank you very much.
That's your toolbox with you?
Let's go to Rodney, Lafayette, Indiana. Hello, Rodney.
Hey, Murph, I got Lou Piniella.
You mean you're going to badger the manager?
Yes, I am.
Tool him up. Go ahead.
All right. Mr. Piniella, I'm tired of your dysfunctional batting lineup. It wasn't funny to start with, and it's still not funny now. Alfonso Soriano is still not a leadoff hitter. Derek Lee is still not a number 3 hitter.
Where is Derek Lee in the? Where should he be? I agree with you. He's not currently in 6.
6.
Well, that's where he just put Milt.
Well, Milton Bradley should be batting 5th, in my opinion. Soriano 4th. Ramirez 3rd. Fukudome 2nd, and Ryan Theriot.
Yes.
The guy that handles the bat and can shoot it through the right side, he can pull the ball. That is your guy leading off.
It's the Rubik's Cube, now the Lubik's Cube. Rodney, always a pleasure.
That's just a tool Jim Hendry has in his bag.
He's got a tool in his bag. Hey, look at this. Line 7 looks interesting. By the way, go to RentalMax.com. They are problem solvers for the big contractors and the do-it-yourselfers. Over 1,000 tools and pieces of equipment for the homeowners, You know, if you're a trades guy, if you're a plumbing contractor, a piping contractor, electrical contractor, a concrete guy, RentalMax.com. I got a slide in triple extremity from Warrenville. Hello, Triple.
Murph.
Who's your tool?
Is White Sox radio play-by-play announcer,
Eddie
Farmer. Who is
Farmio.
When Felix P.A. was up bad saying, well, you know, he should really have his uniform number 3.12. And EJ goes, what?
3.14.
Yeah, 3.14. Well, you know, maybe it's, I don't know if RentalMax has these tools, but you got to go find a protractor and a compass.
Oh, no.
And determine that pi really is just 22 divided by 7. It's not a circumference of a circle like he even said afterwards.
Well, you know what? It was a fun banter back and forth. The guy's name's Pi. It's PA. 3.14 is actually radius times 3.14 is the circumference, I bet.
2 pi r.
I only got room for 1 pi right now. Thank you very much, Triple.
He's the nail and the hammer.
Eddie. Hey, Farmio, I know you're listening, getting off the golf course right there. Everyone gets tooled up. I sort of like the 3.14. Let's go campaign lobby Bud Selig. Can we have PA with 3.14?
Bud Selig declined to talk to us.
Final couple phone calls. Everyone on hold, very important. I get you up next for RentalMax. I need a clear-cut winner for Tool of the Week. I got some great DJ talking about Cologne when we come back. Got some inside Stacey King's head, but let's have a quick third round of phone calls for my guys at RentalMax, RentalMax.com. Murpho, back in a flash. The Score, driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. I know I'm late. Let's get back to the Tool phone. Let's find a clear-cut winner. I want to go next. They're telling me to go to Patty in Lisle, Illinois. Hello, Patty.
Hi, Murph. How are you?
I'm fine. Tool of the Week. Who's your tool?
Milton Bradley, please.
We've had enough of him.
I wanted to sit down.
I've had enough to hear with this guy. He's 1 for 23. I think we should ship him out.
Oh, please. And I also have. I don't nominate him as a tool, but Giovanni needs some work. I think we should bring up Quayle for a little bit.
Hey, Patty, where were you yesterday when I had no phone calls and I was talking Cubs? Patty, only one. Do you want to tool up Gio or do you want to tool up Uncle Milty?
Milty.
All right, Patty. for not
you didn't
hitting.
bring your tool belt today.
Fine.
No.
That's fine.
Trouble getting through customs with it.
There you go, 1 for 23. You're going to be eligible for Tool of the Week. Let's go to Elgin Clue is next, I believe it is. Hello, Elgin Clue.
Hey, Murph, how you doing? My tool of choice this morning was the paintbrush, so now I'm relaxing listening to you.
Thank you, I think.
Mine is Lupinella, and the reason is because of his berating publicly of his right fielder Hoffpower.
Yeah.
And instead of enhancing what his 4 tools are, hitting for power, hitting for average, yeah, he's limited in range. We know that. But all he has to do tonight is watch his opposing shortstop at Khalil Green. He'll find that he's got a much better shortstop with range in St. Louis. And the guy they put out in left field, the pitching coach's son, Duncan, to realize that Hoffpower is twice the defensive player that Duncan is. And Tony seems to get the most out of his players instead of berating him or like Dusty used to globalize and make excuses. Lou needs to step up and be the Hall of Fame manager that he should be. And instead of berating players, enhance the talents that they got, the tools that they got, and that's why he's my tool.
Hey, let the record show, 18 years on the radio, first time globalize has ever been used on one of my shows. I love it, Elgin. Thank you, buddy.
He was touted as a 5-tool man, but he lost 2 tools.
In case, a little bit earlier, Hoffpower in right field. No one has caught that ball since they built the bleacher wall in 1937. It hit 6 feet up. The wind was crossing from right back to left. He turned, he was there, and then you either have one choice or two. You catch the ball and you scramble your brains into the brick, or you maybe, let the ball hit the brick. Not that he didn't try to go for it, he did. That ball has never been... Andre Dawson never caught that ball. Ever. With Montreal when he was young, or with the Cubs when he was old. And you're right about that, Clue and Elgin. Duncan at left field, he can hit the hell out of the ball. And he is a bigger butcher than anybody you got probably right now, be it Soriano or Hoffpower or even Uncle Milty. Let's go next to Lance in Bucktown. Hello, Lance.
Hey, Murph, how you doing, man? I tell you what, I think your show is great. I'm a first-time caller.
Hey, I love my first-time callers, Lance. Who's your tool?
Well, I tell you what, I know somebody who's guilty of a real bozo no-no, and I think you know who that is. That's your own Score Zone, Lawrence Holmes.
Oh, Lawrence jumps into a tie for the lead with David Schuster and Vinny Del Negro. Tell us about Lawrence.
Well, the whole thing is, I know everyone's got their opinions, and Boston's a great team, but, listen, we're Chicagoans, and, for him to come out and, with the clown boinks and stuff like that, I just don't think it's right. I don't appreciate it.
Hey, give him a call. I know Lawrence would love to hear from you anytime on his show, 10 to noon with Danny Hampton. Thanks a lot.
I love Danny, though. Danny's the best.
Thank you, Lance. This is not Smooth Patrol. Smooth Patrol. 24-second shot clock. Maybe I'll bring those back also.
Tool idiot. Tool idiot with an Aston Martin.
Yeah, when they bring an entourage back. And I'm going to put the pressure on my final caller. It's Tom in Tinley Park. Hello, Tom.
Hey, what's going on, Murph?
Fine, Tommy. I'm going to put the pressure on you. I got a 3-way tie for Rental Max Tool of the Week. David Schuster, Vinny Del Negro, and Lawrence Holmes. Now, I don't know if you're going to throw me a new name or if you're going to jump on one of those. Everything hinges on your nomination, Tom.
Well, basically, I was at the game last night, and it's got to be Vinny Del Negro. This guy, first off, game 1, game 2, okay, fine, you run out of timeouts, 1 game in a row. You don't do that 2 games in a row and still deserve to be a head coach in the NBA, doing that in the playoffs. There's just no excuse for that.
Vinny Del Negro is, because of your vote, Tommy, at Tinley Park, you swung it over to Vinny Del Negro. Tommy, I appreciate it. It was very, very well needed that I have a clear-cut winner. Thanks, Tom.
No problem.
All right, buddy.
I still haven't figured out Tool of the Week, what that means.
Very, very spirited voting. The winner this week beats out our guys, David Schuster and Lawrence Holmes. It is the one, the only, Vinny Del Negro.
Well, Murph, that wonderful relief that comes when they just stop hitting you in the head with a hammer. It feels so good when they stop.
That's it. We're all out of tools. Thanks for listening and thanks for participating in Murph's Tool of the Week Award. Be sure to join us next Friday because there's always a tool. There's always someone who
has a hammer for a head.
That's right. You'll hear about him next Friday on The Score, Sports Radio 670. Tool of the Week is brought to you by RentalMax and
RentalMax.com. Weekend Warriors, get out in the backyard, start working on that deck, start working on the patio and the grass. Our guys at Reynolds. All right, Murph till 2. Lots to do between now and 2. All right, number 1. Oh, I hear a little Wooly Bully. I hear a little Bulls music. Stacey King last night, Comcast Sportsnet. Jay Zawaski, great job here on the mini mix. I heard it before the show. Stacey King, about, what do we got about here? 5, 6, 7 different points during the game. You pulled out a little bit here.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 key highlights from the game.
Let's call this Inside Stacey King's Head.
This is one of the times right now that, you've got to see what some of these guys on the bench can do. I mean, I thought Tim Thomas, could have been in there earlier, stretched the defense out a little bit. But right now, Vinny's been going with that 7-man rotation.
Tool of the week.
And it hasn't worked tonight. The Bulls defense has just looked like they're lost. I mean, there's nobody putting a body on the Celtics. Nobody laying any wood on the cutters. I mean, Ray Allen was able to make a quick dive cut to the basket and no one put a body on it. Well, another thing that they came out and did, too, was they were determined to punch the Bulls in the mouth from the start. They came out, they were grabbing, they were putting body on cutters. They didn't allow the Bulls to get to the basket. They were hard fouls. And that's something we didn't see in the first 2 games. The Bulls pretty much had their way with Boston as far as getting to the paint and then scoring on layups and fast break. They did a better job of neutralizing the Bulls' fast break. The Bulls come in averaging about 22 points a game on fast break points. They only got 7. When they get double teamed on screen rolls, they've got to make those passes quicker. They've got to get rid of the ball quicker and find the backside of their offense. If not, if they're going to continue to hold on to the ball and allow Boston to string that screen roll out, they're going to turn the ball over, and they're not going to have a lot of assists as we see tonight. 12 assists, and they have 21 turnovers. And when you have those type of numbers, it's normally a recipe for disaster.
And disaster it was. Stacey King, Inside Stacey King's Head on Comcast last night. By the way, on Saturday, May 2nd, oh, I hear the White Sox music, right? Got some Sox for you right now. Saturday, May 2nd, 7:30 p.m., Chicago Fire takes on Seattle Sounders at Toyota Park. For tickets, here's the phone number, 888-MLS-FIRE, or visit chicago-fire.com. All right, let's talk about the White Sox. They're back home at the U.S. Cellular Field. That's the White Room with black curtains near the station, 35th Street L Stop. DJ was terrific on the score during the game, talking about, what was it, about third, fourth inning, Bartolo Colon. He hasn't thrown a curveball yet. He hasn't thrown the ball over about 83, 84 miles per hour. But DJ, he doesn't try to hide it. What I like about our guy DJ in the booth with Farmia, he'll come right at you. He'll tell you what's happening.
Wigginton has a double off the wall and left, and the Orioles are rolling again here in the third. They have runners at second and third with nobody out.
Bartolo is off, to say the least. He hasn't thrown any breaking stuff, and that's just not going to get it when you're facing a big league baseball team. You can use your fastball as long as you've got it a little bit firmer than what we're seeing from Bartolo. But if you're not going to show them any kind of breaking ball and all night long they're just going to look for something straight, you're going to get hit hard.
More on the pitch to Scott. Line drive gap, right center field. This is way back. Anderson will go to the wall and play it on one bounce. Huff walks in. Wigginton follows. 2-run double. 4-0 Baltimore.
Absolutely no fear from the Orioles hitters. They're not worried about one thing when it comes to Bartolo's pitches in this ball game.
Carrasco, he's warming as Cooper, the pitching coach, goes to the mound. DJ Carrasco up and throwing.
Well, I don't know what Coop can say other than, Bartolo, can you throw any harder, or maybe mix in a breaking ball, because he's throwing strikes with the fastball and they're getting hit.
I'll tell you something. Around baseball, 30 teams, you won't hear that too often from a lot of the different broadcasts. Pretty right to the point there by DJ. Evidently, sore flipper or something. No velocity, no velo, as the insiders say. No velo, and never threw a curveball. All right. Sunday underscore. Miss little, miss a lot. If you're heading on down to St. Louis, maybe in the car right now, going down for 3 games, Cubs and the Cardinals, Tony La Russa, a caller, Andy, phoned in to Brian Peruk over the weekend here. I think this was last Sunday, right? And it reminded me of my little story that I never had a chance to tell on the air about Tony La Russa. If you're heading on down, I'll tell you what I'd like you to yell out at Tony, just to, get his impression. Here's caller Andy on the score with the whip, Brian Peruk, the king.
Andy at a car phone, you're on the score.
Soriano would never fit on Tony La Russa's team because he doesn't shoot up steroids. Tony La Russa is the biggest harbor of shoot up steroids.
Andy, hold on. Stay on, because you're bringing all this stuff in my... Okay, Tony La Russa was Jose Canseco's manager. Right? Tony La Russa, and this is not regarding steroids, but let's just think about Tony La Russa and who he's putting out there right now. Chris Duncan is his left fielder right now. A 10-year-old could play better left field than Chris Duncan, but he's in the lineup because he can swing the bat.
Now, let's not also... We also got to remember that Tony La Russa has to learn to turn off the car and put it in park before he passes out from drinking. He happens to do that in intersections while the car's running.
Tony La Russa, yeah.
I like him as a manager, but I'll tell you one thing. Baseball insiders will tell you the same thing. They'll go, everywhere that Tony goes, the steroids are sure to follow, or the HGH. He's always got one or two big bulked-up guys that come out of nowhere, but hey, it's probably a great scouting staff and training staff with the Redbirds. And I believe it to be true because my buddy worked at Ditka's for a while, and he said once, Murph, the great vegetarian Tony La Russa came over once from the Westin, and he wanted a private room so he could chow down a few steaks, the vegetarian, when nobody was listening. So if you're at the Cardinals game over the weekend with the Cubs and you see him walking by, you're like, hey, Tony, how was the steak at Ditka's? Sports Radio 670, The Score.
Wigginton has a double off the wall and left, and the Orioles are rolling again here in the third. They have runners at second and third with nobody out.
Bartolo is off, to say the least.
To say the least. DJ. Got a little Howard Cosell in him, telling it like it is. Or like some say, Howard Cosell told it like he thought it was. Let's get back to the phones. Murph, driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. It's Armando next. Hello, Armando.
Hey, Murph, love your show. Another first-time caller here.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, Murph, I'd like to talk about what DJ said, and I think he's right on. Bartolo, he's obviously not the Bartolo of old. I remember when he was younger, 7th, 8th inning, he'd still be pumping 95 plus.
Hey, I remember when you were younger, so were you, Armando.
No, I was one of those D3 baseball players that topped out at around 85, 86.
Yeah, we all top out somewhere.
But yeah, he just has to make an adjustment. He has to realize that, before he used to get away with throwing that fastball over the heart of the plate, maybe the hitters couldn't catch up to it, but he's got to make an adjustment. Obviously, he's no Greg Maddux, so he can't throw that low 90, high 80 fastball and spot it like Greg Maddux does. So he has to just make an adjustment. He's been around the block before and has confidence he can do it. Maybe he should go to the old mentality of, throw the fastball in, throw the soft stuff away. He's just got to make that adjustment because obviously he can't get away with throwing a fastball the whole time.
Here's the dilemma, Armando, and you know the game. I can tell that by talking with you. You want to have, I think the experts say, about a 12-mile-an-hour difference between fastball and the curveball off speed. He never threw a curveball, according to DJ, maybe one. So if you can't, you can throw 80 if you're throwing the off speed, at 68. It doesn't matter. You're right. You don't have to throw it through a pane of glass. But he never threw the breaking ball, evidently, but once or twice. You got to have the 12, 13, 14 mile an hour difference. Armando, good to talk to you. You'll be a second-time caller next time. All right, buddy?
Yeah, thanks, brother. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. Yeah, let's leave it for a fun Feckless Friday with a little Blackhawks music. Good luck to the Hawks. Game 5 in Chicago. Hey, Tom Troublehorn, when are the Hawks going to win their next game?
Tomorrow. Now go have another beer. Don't bother me.
Maybe 2. Maybe a Beefeater martini up with a little bit of vermouth and some blue cheese olives. Murph saying, thanks. Crank it up, Jay. I love you. Thanks for listening. Hawks win. Thanks for calling. See you later, everybody. Hawks win! That was Jay Blunt yelling from the rafters. That was Rocky yelling.
Does he leave Chicago? I just have one sentiment. Good riddance.
Peace, love, and happiness, my man.